Hello and welcome to another Kings at Home Daily. My name is Paul Hatton, one of the leaders at King's Community Church, and we're working our way through the Gospel of John, written by one of Jesus' closest disciples, and we're in chapter 11, verses 45 to 57. By way of context, Jesus has just had a really emotional encounter actually with some of his friends. Some of his closest friends were called Mary, Martha and Lazarus, and he spent a lot of time with them. They would be considered his friends. He loved them, cared for them, and held them very deeply in his heart. Lazarus got sick, ended up dying. Jesus went to go and be with Mary and Martha and ended up raising him from the dead, and Lazarus came back to life. An incredible encounter, but we then pick it up in verse 45 where John says, "Therefore many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary," so that's Mary, and had seen what Jesus did, believed in him. So this incredible encounter, Jesus raising someone from the dead, led to many choosing to believe Jesus was who he said he was, the Son of God. But it goes on, verse 46, "Some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done." These are like the spies, the people who are just out to get Jesus. They're just trying to find bits of information to pass on to the Pharisees. Then the chief priests and the Pharisees called a meeting of the Sanhedrin. These were the Jewish leaders. They said this, "What are we accomplishing? Here is this man performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and then the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation." We get a quick insight into the Pharisees here. They are more concerned about their heritage, about their building, about their religion, about what the Romans might do to them than they are about God himself, than they are about this person who's claiming not only to be the Son of God, but also has got the signs that point to who he is. And they're concerned. They're really concerned. So they're going to make plans to try and shut Jesus down. So they say one of them, named Caiaphas, who was high priest that year. So he's the priest of priests. He's the main man, the person who really the buck stops with him. He spoke up. "You know nothing at all. You do not realize that it is better for you that one man die for the people than that the whole nation perish." Caiaphas here really just communicates this growing sense among the Pharisees of anxiety and fear about this man Jesus, that what he's going to do and what he is doing to disrupt the people of Israel. It's better. He says it's better for one man to die. He's essentially saying this man Jesus has got to die. He's causing far too much disruption, pulling far too many people away from the Jewish religion, and it needs to stop. So he's saying that he has got to die. Goes on in 51. John says, "He did not say this on his own, but as high priest that year he prophesied that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation, and not only for that nation but also for the scattered children of God, to bring them together and make them one. So from that day on they plotted to take his life." So they've got the sign off of the high priest Caiaphas, and they're going to kill him. They plot to kill him. Verse 54, "Jesus no longer moved about publicly among the people of Judea. Instead, he withdrew to a region near the wilderness, to a village called Ephraim, where he stayed with his disciples. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, many went up from the country to Jerusalem for their ceremonial cleansing before the Passover. They kept looking for Jesus, and as they stood in the temple courts, they asked one another, 'What do you think? Isn't he coming to the festival at all?' But the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that anyone who found out where Jesus was should report it so that they might arrest him." Jesus is clearly disrupting things. The Pharisees are getting twitchy and they're plotting to kill him. But wonderfully, from verse 54 to the end there, you get this sense of Jesus really in absolute control of his movements. It reminds me of back in chapter 10 of the Gospel of John, verse 18, where Jesus says that no one takes my life from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. Jesus moves where he wants. He does what he wants. And in his life, he's the one who laid down his life. And we see this not only in these verses, but in the future chapters of John and the Gospels, really, that Jesus is the one who lays down his life, that he is the one who is in absolute control of his destiny, that he's not just at the whim of the Pharisees, hopefully being successful in their plot to kill him. No, Jesus is sovereign over all, and he is working out his plans and purposes to bring the redemption of all mankind and all creation. And we know that he's successful in that. He dies, he rises back to life, and he goes and is seated back at the right hand of the Father. But through this, we learn really that God fulfills his purposes even through the means of wicked and sinful people, even people who mean harm to the world, to God's people, that God works out his purposes. He frustrates the purposes of those who come against him, and he ensures that his purposes are worked out. I think just of the incredible sovereignty of God here. I think of the way that God is able to work out his will, even in the complexity of people's lives, the complexities of people's decisions and people's wills, that God always works out his purpose. And Jesus' life, death and resurrection is probably the greatest evidence of that what the enemy meant for evil, God worked out for good. Bless you, church family.